Hello YouTube, Dave here again. I'm back with another new game stuff video. So this is a video where I just showcase some of the things that have either been sent to me for review purposes or some of the things that I've picked up myself over the course of the last, few weeks. It's just a great way to chronicle some of the items, especially stuff that's sent to me for a review, just to let you know some of the stuff that's out there in case it takes me a little while to get to the actual review videos. If nothing else, it shows that these products are available, they're out there, and if you're interested in them, you can check them out at your local game store. But I will try to have reviews coming out as soon as possible for most of the stuff that was sent to me for review. And a lot of it's going to be really easy because it's mainly accessories, but there are a couple of other things. So let's just get right into it here. The first thing I want to show is something that it took a while to get here, and I feel terrible for it, although it's really out of the control of basically everybody involved. But before, about midway through December, the company DMD Wow had reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in reviewing some of their newer sets of dice. I've done a couple of reviews for them in the past. There was like the color changing dice that they had a few years back, and then I think it was last year I did the Cthulhu or the Mind Flare dice, and those things looked really, really cool. So they asked if I'd be willing. I said absolutely, and they sent out a couple sets here for me to look at, but they took a long time to get here. Now, one of the strange things is that it was basically, when looking at the tracker, for over a month, it was just stuck at, at destination airport. So I don't know exactly what was going on with all that, but for like a month there was just zero movement. This was something that I was supposed to have by like January 10th, according to the estimation on the tracker that they sent me. And here we are, it's almost February 10th, and I think it's what, February 8th or something like that when I'm recording this. 7th or 8th, I can't keep track of days. But these finally did arrive. So here they are. We've got a set of, two sets of hollow dice here. And I think these are both like armor sort of themed. And one of them's like sort of like in a gold color, and the other is sort of like in a silver color. So I'm gonna do like an actual review showing these off, but just from like just looking at these look really, really cool. They're hollow dice, so they're metal, but they're hollow, which is nice because like I don't feel like I'm gonna destroy my table rolling them. And yeah, I mean, just looking right off the bat, like they have very nice designs to them, and I love just how easy it is to read them, because I know people with like sets of dice that are sort of like these special looking ones with all these designs on them, and the numbers almost completely camouflage with the background design. But the one thing that I noticed that D&D WoW does a really great job of is making sure that their numbers stand out and are super easy to read. It may only be difficult on camera because of the plastic window and the glare from my light. But yeah, I really want to thank them for sending this out to me, and I apologize that it's taken as long as it has for these to arrive, but I've got them now, and I'm going to try to get the video for this very, very soon, so within the next few days. So this is sent to me by D&D WoW, and I will have a link to their website in the description of the video when I do it. So awesome stuff there. All right, up next is some items, or are some items, I think is the proper English there. It's 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm recording this, so, it is what it is. But yeah, these are some items that were sent to me by Paizo, and there's some really nice stuff in here that I'm really, really looking forward to. So the first thing I'm going to show here is probably one of the more basic items that they sent out. I just got to get everything. I didn't quite lay this out the way that I intended to, but so they actually sent me this flip mat for the enormous forest. Now, I love Pathfinder flip mats. I do find that they're difficult to record videos on just because I don't have a ton of space to work with. But this is something that's out there right now, and this is one of like the larger sized maps, so it's not like it's not the standard size. Like, there is actually more to it than some of the other ones. But these look really, really nice. So again, here's what the maps look like. And I will do probably like a flip mat showcase where, if nothing else, I can at least zoom in on the images on the back cover, just to sort of show you what's there. Like, there's like the campsite here. There's like a cottage or something on this one. And yeah, it's just, again, really, really nice. And with these flip mats, you can use like wet erase or dry erase markers on them. You can use permanent markers and just use a dry erase marker to sort of erase the permanent marker later. But these things are awesome. I love looking at these and getting ideas for games. And I've actually run entire sessions of games based solely off of like improvising something from a map. So I love these. I think that they're great. And yeah, so the Enormous Forest Pathfinder flip mat is currently available at $24.99 US for a nice high quality double-sided large size poster map. So that's really awesome. And then they also sent, and this one's kind of exciting too. I have to do the review video for the actual book that this is connected to, but there is this Pathfinder City of Lost Omens poster map folio. And so basically what it is it's four maps that you can sort of put together to create the entirety of the city. I'm not sure if they're double-sided or not, but it's still, I mean, it's really great to have like the larger maps of the city, and this is something that, like I said, is out there now. The Absalon City of Lost Omens book, it's a huge book, and that's why it's kind of taking me a little bit to do the review, but it's pretty awesome so far. It's like 400 pages of campaign setting material, including like NPCs, some really awesome NPCs that are actually included there, and just the description of the city itself. So it's a really great book. I just need to get more time to really, you know, really get through and read some of it. But yeah, so we actually got the poster map folio that goes along with that. So that is really cool. This is also $24.99. So again, awesome stuff here. Yeah, again, just really cool. I love maps. I'm a huge mark for maps, and yeah, there's some great stuff there. All right, they also sent me the first installment of a 3-part Pathfinder adventure path. This is Quest for the Frozen Flame. Now there were some issues with shipping and supply issues with the final installment of the Strength of Thousands adventure path. So there was stuff from like the very final chapter of that I still haven't received. I don't know if I'm actually going to be getting it from them or not. So if not, I will look for it at like a local game store or somewhere. So I was kind of waiting to do the review of the adventure path as a whole rather than focus on each individual chapter. But for Quest for the Frozen Flame, it is only a 3-part adventure path. So I may actually do a review for this one on its own. It's for like 1st to 3rd level characters, and it seems kind of interesting. So I will probably try to get a video for that out in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, so Quest for the Frozen Flame. Broken Tusk Moon is the first installment, and again, this is only a 3-part adventure path, so it's a little bit easier to digest than the big 6-part one. Less stuff to keep track of from month to month. So yeah, really looking forward to that one. All right, and then we've got Starfinder. We have a Starfinder book here. And the Starfinder is like, they don't release a ton of stuff for it. I mean, there's like poster maps usually every month. But as far as the books go, they tend to have sort of eased back on some of the releases. But this is a book that I'm really interested in, and we'll see how it is. But this is Galactic Magic. So the last book that came out was essentially like the how to create your own like star system, solar system, galaxy type exploration book. And this is, I guess, focused on magic. Now, magic in Starfinder is a thing that's there. But it's not as prevalent as it is in, say, like Pathfinder. Like, the classes only have up to level 6 spells. I don't think that's changed here, but I think there's some new options and probably some new like equipment and stuff like that. So looking forward to checking this one out. So Starfinder Galactic Magic, and that is out now. If you're interested in this one, if you're a Starfinder fan, you should check this out at your local game store. $39.99 US. Speaking of Starfinder, the last 2 things that I have to show that I received for a review are 2 accessories, and these are awesome accessories, even though I haven't actually opened these particular ones up, but they come from a pedigree of really great accessories. So I'm not worried about them in the slightest. But speaking of Spellfinder and speaking of Spellfinder magic, we have the Starfinder spell card collection. So this takes the spells from the core rulebook and the character operations manual, I believe it is. Your character operations manual. So this gives you all the spells from those two books, and the Pathfinder Paizo spell cards are really, really well done. They'll take multiple cards if they, well, maybe not necessarily multiple cards, but they utilize like both sides of a card if they need to. It's just really, really, it's just, they're great, right? And the Pathfinder second edition spell cards have been amazing products. And this one I suspect is going to be along the same lines. And again, I love Starfinder, so more stuff for that is always great. Because this is a great RPG, and it's awesome to have these accessories now. And speaking of spell cards, we have the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Secrets of Magic spell cards. So these would be all of the spells from the Secrets of Magic book that came out last year. So this says, harness the untold potential of magic in your hands. This must-have accessory for all spellcasters includes over 200 reference cards. Covering spells from every tradition and all focus on spells for the Pathfinder Secrets of Magic. Now this is a pretty long box for 200 cards, so something tells me that this is probably something that's designed to let you put in other sets as well if you need to. Like I said, I haven't opened it yet, but there's been larger size card sets in much smaller packaging. So something tells me this is something that's sort of meant to be like a catch-all, and you can put and store more cards in there than actually comes inside the box, which again is great. It's awesome. It's nice to be able to put things all together. I don't think you'll be able to fit every single set in here, but it's still cool to see this nice large box for Pathfinder Secrets of Magic. All right, so those were the items that were sent to me for review, but I do have a few things that I've actually picked up myself, started going back to the holidays, and not necessarily the holidays, but shortly after the holiday season. And these are actually all things that I have because of gift cards. The first thing I actually want to show here is this really cool mini set from Whiz Kids. This is part of the Icons of the Realms. And so Icons of the Realms are their plastic pre-painted mini collections. So Icons of the Realms will be the names of the random sets that you can buy, or where you buy the box that has 4 randomized minis in it. But it's also the name that they use for the predetermined sets. And the predetermined ones like this are always referred to as starter sets. So they've had some really cool ones over the years. They had the player character starter sets, which I have the very original one up on my wall out of frame. But they also had an orc warband and a kobold raiding party or something like that. So they've actually had some really interesting stuff here. Although I've never really picked up those other sets, and we'll sort of discuss the reason why here in a moment. But this was one that when I saw it, it's okay, I need to get this. So this is the League of Malevolence from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. And the League of Malevolence is essentially the LJN figures, the pre-made characters that appeared in Quest for the Heartstone and the Shady Dragon Inn. This is just one of those pure nostalgia things for me. And the main reason that I wanted to get this is because, number one, I love Warduke. It's going to be hard to focus because I'm not going to be opening this. This is something that I'm keeping for collecting purposes. It's going to remain sealed. I know that's going to bug some people, and I'm sorry. That's why I'm showing it in the pickups video and not doing an actual review. But it's got Warduke, and it has Kellic. Now Kellic is someone that I've always wanted a mini for, or some sort of figure for. So they had Warduke and Kellic back for the LJN toy line back in the day. And Kellic being the evil wizard just looks so cool that I wish I had that toy. But alas, I don't, and that stuff's kind of expensive to get these days. So I will definitely settle for the miniature. You also have Skyla and what is it? Zarek, and the evil cleric, whose name I always forget, even though I think it's like Zargash or something like that. But yeah, so you've actually got like the 5 League of Benevolence characters from The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, which includes 2 like classic throwbacks to the LJN toy line. Warduke appeared on the D&D animated series. There was the Quest for the Hearthstone adventure, and of course, like I said, the Shady Dragon Inn. So this is really, really cool. So for the holidays, I got a prepaid MasterCard for as a gift. And that's the only reason that I have this, because the retail price for this in Canada, and again, this is, I live in Canada, the prices I'm going to list are going to be Canadian, but the price was $40 for this set. So for this set of 5 miniatures, it's just, I'm not huge on the pricing of a lot of these, like, miniatures that are coming out from Whiz Kids. So this set, you could sort of justify because you are getting multiple miniatures. They're ones that you want. They're ones that, if they're in the Wild Beyond the Witchlight boosters that you can buy, like the randomized ones, of course, they would all be like the rare or ultra rare, whatever garbage they're doing with that these days. But like just other things like their dragons, their Chardalyn dragon, which looked really cool, wasn't like a gigantic miniature. It was a huge size creature. But that in Canada was like $100, and there's like the Tiamat, which is like going to be like $500 to $600 Canadian, because it's already like $400 US. So it's probably going to be closer to 500 Canadian, but it's still a ton of money for these plastic miniatures. And like, so the only reason I picked this up is because I had the gift card. If I didn't, then honestly, as much as I would love to own it, I would have just passed on it and been like, well, it's a cool set, but I don't necessarily want to pay $40. Now, by contrast, the player character starter set that I have, which actually has 6 miniatures in it, that I bought just a few years prior, that was like $20. So I don't know why the prices have kind of, I know, like, inflation and stuff like that definitely plays a role, but this is just a big, asking price for it. And they also had the heroic faction. I think it's Valor's Call or Valor's Heart, whatever the name of the good team was from the Wild Beyond the Witchlight. And I would have loved to have had that too, but with my $75 prepaid gift card, I wouldn't have had enough to buy 2 sets of like these minis. So, if this was like $25 to $30, again, I'm just dealing Canadian prices because that's all I can go off of, then I think it would have been totally worth it, and I would have highly recommended them. But for $40 Canadian, that's probably around $27, $28 US. The US price isn't too bad, but the Canadian prices, unfortunately, it's a little bit up there. And yeah, and now the store that I deal with, before people say, well, different gaming stores sell things, at their own prices. The gaming store that I go to is really good about selling things at MSRP, so manufacturer suggested retail. So, like, for example, they had like some of the Magic sets that there were some stores that were basically selling, like booster boxes for like $300 or individual packs for like $20 because it was just so hard to get in. If they had it, they were selling it at the normal retail price. So even stuff that was hard to get, they weren't price gouging, they weren't, raising things. They were selling it for MSRP. So when they charge $40 for this, that's basically what the suggested price is for it. And again, it's just a little bit too much for me. They're cool minis, but I just find like the prices are just way too high for the Icons of the Realm stuff, and it's unfortunate because I think they are cool. But I especially like that Tiamat or like the larger dragons. I mean, I picked up the Great Worm Red Dragon back in the day. It was $90 and is the size of your average Thanksgiving turkey. So to get something that's like half of that size now and it's like $40 more is pretty rough. And then to spend like $600 or $500 on something, like I could buy a nice TV, I could buy another Xbox Series X. Hell, I could buy a PlayStation 5 for that kind of money. So it's just, I don't know. Whiz Kids puts out some cool stuff, but I just can't support the price that they sell them for, unfortunately. Let me know what you guys think. You know, do you buy like all the cool Whiz Kids minis when they come out? Do you go for the unpainted ones that are a little bit cheaper? Or are you kind of like me and there's like a lot of nice stuff that you'd love to own, but the prices are just a little bit too much for what you consider to be appropriate for what it is that you're getting. So anyway, there's that. But I did get this because I had the gift card, and it's still a cool thing to have. All right, so the last two things that I have here, I'm going to show them separately, but these are also gift cards. And this was a gift card that was given to me by my good friend Roll Stats. So he actually gave me this digital gift card for a drive-through RPG. I use the DM's Guild sub-page, or whatever you want to call it. But he actually gave me a $50 gift card there, and that was $50 US, so it was like almost $70 Canadian. And yeah, there were a couple of items that ever since they were listed on the site, I've always wanted to pick up but never pulled the trigger on. So I decided that with this, I had to. So first of all, you know, I know I thanked you through messages and emails and stuff, but Bill, I really do appreciate it. You have no idea, and I will figure out whatever I can do with the resources that I have to try to you know, make up for it or pay you back in some form or fashion. But the first thing that I picked up here, this was something that I've had in my cart on a number of occasions, but then it's just like, and then I took it out and maybe got something else instead. But this is something that I've wanted for a long time now, and this is the Dark Sun 4th edition D&D campaign setting. So there were two options that I had for Dark Sun, because I did want to get a Dark Sun campaign setting. They had the 2nd edition one, which came in the form of a box set. So with that, instead of it being a box set, they just had it as a hardcover book, and then any of like the maps and stuff that were included would just be like scanned as individual pages, and they'd sort of be tossed into the back of the book. And that's cool. I actually have some of those hardcovers. I have like the I think it's the Night Below, and I've got the Planescape one. But I always wanted the 4th edition Dark Sun campaign setting because it was the only campaign setting for 4th edition that I didn't own. I had the Forgotten Realms one, I had the Eberron one, I had the Shadowfell box set, and I had stuff like Neverwinter when that came out, and Underdark, and all of that stuff. So I had all the campaign setting books except for Dark Sun. So I finally decided to pull the trigger on this one. And like, as far as like the actual campaign setting, like the flavor text, the background, like all that stuff, like that's going to carry over regardless. And that's a pretty good like chunk of the book. So as far as like information goes, there's a ton here that you can use. And yeah, I think it's just a really cool set. It's a well, not set, it's a book. But it's a really cool book that I've wanted, and I just, for some reason, never pulled the trigger. So I had to, when I got that very, very generous gift card from Mr. Roll Stats. So yeah, awesome stuff here. This is soft cover. They didn't have the option for hardcover, but that's fine. Like, I actually really like their soft cover books. I think they do a really great job with it. And yeah, it feels like, you know, nice high quality. I love that Dark Sun logo on the back there. Again, just some great stuff all around. But now, because this was, you know, it was Bill that gave me this, Roll Stats that gave me this gift card, and I know that, you know, one of his favorite versions of the game is Basic Expert, I knew I had to get something from the BX line. And there was something in particular that I've always wanted, and I've just never found it. With the exception of one time where it was at one of the game stores that's a little bit outside of my normal area. But we were just there on a whim. It was in between pay periods, so I just didn't have the money for it. And like a moron, I didn't ask if he would hold it for me. Mostly because it was still going to be like a week before I could pick it up, and I just don't like asking stores to hold something if it's going to be for more than a couple of days. So by the time I went back, it was gone, and it was kind of in rough shape anyway. So, you know, I probably wouldn't have like read it too much, because it's something that looked like it was probably going to fall apart anyway. So, you know, I guess I use that to justify it. But what I ended up getting for like the D&D Basic Expert Rules BX is the Dungeons & Dragons Bestiary of Dragons and Giants. So this is something that I've wanted for a long time, and this is not the product that I thought it was. So I thought this was going to be essentially kind of like a monster manual type of thing, similar to the creature catalog that I have a copy of. I just thought this was one that was going to focus on dragons and giants. But what it actually is, it's a series of short little adventures, ready-made adventures that you can use involving giants and dragons. So these are things that you can sort of just like pull out and yeah, and just like, you know what, we're gonna go up against this, you know, this dragon, you know, encounter. You know, we'll run tip of the iceberg, or you know, Kransny the Red. Yeah, I think it's actually really cool. Like, I like the fact that there's actually like little mini adventures with like the maps and the encounters, stuff that you can use to actually get, you know, a session of gameplay out of. And there's a whole bunch of them. So I think, again, it's just really, really cool. It's not what I was expecting, but sort of in a good way. The dragon art and the giant art there is really cool. There's also this interesting tracker that's included in the back here, that you were, like, originally, I guess you pulled it out of the book, or it was separate from the book itself, and you would sort of punch these things out, and I guess you would just sort of slide stuff around. Now, I'm not going to do that, but it may not show up on camera, but the spots where you would actually cut out the shapes, you can actually see them on the camera. I think the one that shows up the best, and it's probably still not going to show up that well, but I think the one that shows up the best is this little, like, circular, semicircular thing that you can punch out here, which just goes right there, and then you would have this other thing that you would slide it. It's really neat. It's really cool. And for running dragon encounters, it's actually kind of helpful because it gives you like their basic information. You can just slide it to the appropriate dragon. But yeah, it's just really neat that like you can actually see the scanner actually picked up the spots where you punch those out. So I just think that's kind of neat overall. So yeah, again, really, really cool stuff. So that's my, you know, recently added new game stuff. There's a lot of stuff here that I'm really looking forward to getting to work on making some videos for. It's, you know, going to be a little bit to get all of this stuff done. But yeah, I'm very appreciative to anyone who like sends stuff for review. It really does mean a lot to me. And for Bill sending me that gift card on DM's Guild or Drive Through RPG, so I could actually pick up some items that I've wanted for a very, very long time. It really does mean a lot to me. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what are some of the cool things that you've picked up over the last little while. You picked up any cool miniatures or modules, or you know, card sets, RPG books, you know, some new like just accessories, anything. Let me know some of the cool stuff that you guys have picked up, because there's always some really awesome responses to that in the comments. So anyway, it's great. So yeah, let me know some of the cool stuff that you've managed to add to your collection over the last little while. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And until I see you next, take care.